All right, we're rolling. Thanks for joining me, guys. I've got Kyle Coon and Brian Pacenti, my co-host for the night, and we're going to talk to Kyle about all the big things that he's doing, and I can't wait to hear about it. Kyle, would you mind giving us an introduction?
Yeah, for sure. Hey, well, first and foremost, thanks Adam for having me on, and thanks Brian for introducing me to Adam for the to come on to the Big Things podcast. So, but yeah, no. So I am a totally blind professional paratriathlete, and I have been totally blind since I was about 6 years old. I had a rare form of eye cancer called bilateral sporadic retinoblastoma, and was diagnosed with that when I was 10 months old, and went through about 5 or 6 years of pretty intensive cancer treatment, and which ultimately resulted in having my left eye removed when I was 5 years old, and my right eye when I was six. So that left me totally blind.
Mm-hmm. But you have seen before, so that's got to be pretty weird. Do you have like memories of when you had vision, and what's that like? Being able to see as a young child and then actually losing your vision.
Oh yeah, no, I totally have memories of being able to see. I was technically legally blind basically from the time I was diagnosed with the cancer. So I don't really know what perfect eyesight or 20/20 vision is. But I definitely remember basic colors and shapes and all that kind of stuff. So one of the right before my right eye was removed, my parents brought my sisters and me out to I grew up in I grew up in Jacksonville, Florida, and my parents brought my sisters and me out to Montana, just in the fall, so that I could see the mountains and see the fall colors and on all that. So that those kind of memories are pretty embedded in my memory. And just I remember the Rocky Mountains and stuff, just being so amazing and cool, and it set a it kind of planted the seed in me to want to move back to the mountains at some point later in life when I was able to.
For sure. Yeah. Where are you calling from right now? Are you in Colorado?
I am in Colorado. So my family all actually lives in the Roaring Fork Valley. So we're based primarily out of Carbondale. I've got a sister up in Snowmass, and then a sister down in Gypsum. And then I have been primarily based out of Colorado Springs for the last couple of years, but I kind of split my time between Colorado Springs and Carbondale. Just kind of float between the two. I come back to my parents, the family, the family property to unwind and get off the grid a little bit when when we're not in peak season for triathlon and stuff like that. So
nice. And that's how you know Brian, right?
it is, yeah. So we met a couple what was it, like probably 3 years ago now. We were both on a local stores race team for trail and road running, and I was just in the infancy of breaking into the triathlon scene, and needed a place to do some swim training, and Brian just happened to be the manager at one of the local rec centers, and I got introduced to him, and he was like, "Hey, well, just come on up, and I'll make sure you get some pool time." And then he also we've run a couple of times together. He's guided me on some runs as well. So
cool.
Yeah, no, we've known each other a couple of years now. It's just it's great to know good people like that.
Absolutely.
Thanks, Kyle. I appreciate it. Hey, I got a question for you. Tell us a little bit about your triathlon history. You said you were at the infancy at about 2017, but how did that come to fruition and where and to where it's at now?
Yeah, for sure. So, I mean, I guess I was, when I say I was in the infancy, I was in the infancy of like making the transition from, I was trying to bridge that gap from amateur to trying to break into that elite level of in the paratriathlon world. So I have to kind of rewind back to about 2013, 2014 to give you the whole picture of my triathlon journey. So I graduated from college in 2013 and really struggled finding employment for about a year after graduating from college. I mean, I can't even begin to count or fathom the number of job applications and stuff that I sent out. I mean, it had to be, 1,000 or more. I think I went on 30 or 40 in-person interviews and just could not find employment. So, about a year after graduating from college, I packed on, 25, 30 pounds, was just real down in the dumps, not in a good headspace, and knew that I had to do something, to get my mind right. So I decided that I wanted to pick up running, and I was just Googling how blind people run. I mean, I had been a competitive rock climber and a competitive wrestler, and I had downhill skied and stuff growing up. But I didn't know the first thing to do about running as a blind person. So I was just Googling and came across this website that aimed to partner people that wanted to be blind runners with people that wanted to be sighted guides in the area. And you could search by zip code, and so I plugged in the zip code of where I was living at the time, and two names popped up who were interested in being sighted guides and who had signed up for this website. And I sent emails to both of them through the website. One of them responded, and I was just like, well, beggars can't be choosers. So I met this guy at some downtown running path, and we started just running together. And he happened to be a triathlete, and he was actually, when I met him, he was 3 months out from competing at the Ironman World Championships in Kona, Hawaii. And so so he's started telling me all about that, and I was just fascinated by the putting swim, bike, run together. I mean, even though I'd grown up in Florida and knew how not to drown, I definitely wouldn't have considered myself a swimmer, but I'd grown up doing a lot of tandem cycling, and obviously just starting to dabble in this running thing. So I followed he's my buddy Mike. So I followed him through his Kona journey, and when he got back from Kona, he just said, "Hey Kyle, I think you're tough enough, and you got the right attitude to do a triathlon, or maybe even an Ironman someday." And I was like, "Oh, that sounds absolutely insane, but maybe we'll think about it." But he said, "Well, before we do an Ironman, I know you really want to get into this running thing, so I went ahead and signed you up for the Disney Marathon in a couple of months." But the Disney Marathon happened to be full at that time when he signed me up. So the only way we could get into the Disney Marathon was by doing this thing called the Goofy Challenge, which is you run the Disney Half Marathon on Saturday, and then you run the Disney Marathon on Sunday. So that was my first my first marathon experience. And then as soon as we finished that up, Mike took me to a pool, taught me how to actually swim, and then we got hold of my tandem bike and just started riding a bunch together. And then, we were just constantly, we were running together as well. And a few months later, did my first triathlon, and then just, across the finish line was just, beat to heck. It was an Olympic distance triathlon. So a 1,500 meter swim, 40-kilometer bike, and a 10K run. But, I was across the finish line, was absolutely beat, but so exhilarated. And I just, I loved, the challenge of putting all three of those disciplines together, and eventually just got sucked into it, and, kind of threw running out the back door, and was like, I'm all into triathlon. So just, Mike, embraced the triathlon lifestyle. Mike and I did a bunch of races together as I was learning triathlon over the next couple of years. He guided me in my first Ironman in 2016. We came out to Boulder, Colorado, and then did Ironman Boulder in 2016. And goal for that race was just to get from the start line to the finish line in under the 17-hour time cutoff, and we were able to do it in just under 16 hours. So we counted that as success. And then
totally.
I just loved it from there, and wanted to just keep on plugging away and getting better at it.
That's awesome.
What is it about triathlon that really resonates with you? Like, some people are into running, some people are into, I don't know, rollerblading, rowing boats. Everybody's got a different sport. What is it about triathlon that really called your name?
I think specifically with triathlon, it provides enough, it's kind of a cliche answer, but it provides just the right amount of variety, and cross-training elements as well. So like, I can get the same cardiovascular, improvements from swimming 4 or 5 times a week as I can running, 4, 5, 6 times a week. And then, my swimming helps my cycling, and then, the cycling helps the running. And so, I love the variety. I love, being able to, to spread myself out, and really, triathlon is just one of those sports where, hard work really just, it pays off. And, something that I've noticed over the years is, very, quote unquote, average, people, your average runner, your average cyclist, you're just, above average or below average swimmer even, can take to triathlon and just put in, so much work and effort. And, specifically in triathlon, just hard work pays off, and just dedication and consistency. And in order to, succeed at triathlon, you have to dedicate, time to each discipline, so that you do get stronger, across the board. And I absolutely, I love it. And I try anytime I try to do like a run focus block or a swim focus block or a cycling focus block, I get really, I'll be honest, I get bored just doing the same thing. Or like during when the pandemic initially hit, back last year in March, we got, I was living at the Olympic and Paralympic Training Center, and we basically went into a pretty tight lockdown, and the only thing that I could do was ride my bike trainer in my room. And after 12 weeks of doing nothing but 2-a-day bike rides, I was like, I cannot be a cyclist. I am a triathlete.
You're probably damn near a professional cyclist at that point.
It was pretty darn close. That's for sure.
Wow. So I've read that you've hiked Kilimanjaro, you've done the RAAM race across America. When did all those fall in for you? Was that before all the triathlon, or somewhere in the middle, or when was all that stuff?
So Kilimanjaro was actually when I was 15 years old.
Oh, okay.
So I mentioned earlier that I was a competitive rock climber, and so back so just rewinding a bit, when I went totally blind when I was 6 years old, I was obviously had a pretty tough time. Wasn't really sure what to do, what I could do as a blind kid, and my dad was connected to a gentleman who lived, basically in the next town over from us, and his son was a totally blind adventure athlete, and so he arranged for his son was coming to Jacksonville to do a speaking engagement, to just do a whole host of speaking engagements, and so he arranged for the two of us to meet, and we sat down, and he just kind of gave me a verbal slap upside the head and was just like, "Hey, Kyle, just because you're blind doesn't mean you can't do anything. I'm a rock climber, downhill skier, skydiver, marathon runner, tandem cyclist, you name it, I've tried it."
Wow.
And you can have an incredible life and have a lot of fun doing it. So what I want you to do is I want you to go out and try rock climbing. And about, I don't know, what was it? I think it was 3 years after, no, 2 years after I met this dude. He actually became world famous. His name's Eric Weinmeier, his first blind guy to climb Mount Everest. So I and stayed in close contact with Big E for the last 20 years or so. So
Cool.
He's been a major mentor of mine. But after I met Eric, my whole family actually, we decided to just give rock climbing a try and got into that, and then that kind of bled over into us driving all over the Southeast, seeking out rock climbs, and doing backpacking and camping and all that kind of stuff. And so just fell in love with the outdoor lifestyle. And then in 2005, 2006, Eric reached out to me and contacted me about this program that he was putting together to take blind and sighted teenagers down to South America to hike a version of the Inca Trail. And so he invited me on that trip, and I went, and we had an amazing time. We did some community service projects down there as well. And on the train ride back from Machu Picchu to Cusco, a bunch of us, crazy teenagers, got it in our head. Like, we were like, man, we loved doing this trip together. We loved just being together on this this little like hiking team. Like, we want to do this again. Like, how about we do something a little bigger, a little more challenging than the Inca Trail? Why don't we do like Kilimanjaro or something like that? And so we put together I think there was like 10 or 12 of us that got together the very next year, and the same organization, it's called No Barriers, that put together our Inca Trail trip back in 2006. They put together our Kilimanjaro trip in 2007, and I was the youngest of the team. Like I said, I was only 15 at the time in 2007, and we climbed and summited Mount Kilimanjaro, and then I did was really into mountaineering and backpacking and stuff, up through the time I graduated from college. And I still absolutely love just being in the mountains. Like, my happy place is running up the side of a 14er, or doing something just where I'm in the mountains, and that's my ultimate happy place.
Totally. I think the three of us can agree on that. I think that's all of our happy place.
Definitely.
Absolutely. But then RAAM, so Race Across America, I did that in 2018. So that was in the midst of when I was literally I was walking that edge of making the jump from amateur triathlete to breaking into the elite level. Okay. And in 2017, I was invited. I saw this Facebook post about a couple of blind dudes that were wanting to put together a team to do Race Across America, and I reached out to them and I said, hey, here's my here are my credentials. Can I join you? And so I was originally not picked for the team, but I was selected as an alternate cyclist. I went to the first training camp that we held at the beginning of 2018, and it was like 2 weeks later, one of the cyclists had to bow out of Race Across America because he just he had some family commitments and stuff. He was like, I just can't invest the time to train and the 2.5, 3 weeks that surrounding the race to put in all the necessary training and racing, and like I can't commit 100% to it. So I got elevated from the from the bench to the starting lineup, and we so what our team was a team C2C, and we were the first team of tandems with all blind or visually impaired stokers. So the person on the back of the tandem, so all of us were blind or visually impaired. So it was myself. I'm totally blind. And then we had two practicing attorneys. Jack Chen, who's totally blind. He's one of the lead corporate attorneys for Google Chrome. And then Tina Ament, who is an assistant U.S. attorney in Washington D.C. And then so all three of us are totally blind. And then Dan Berlin, who at the time he owned a flavor extract company called Rodell, and he had a very severe visual impairment. So the four of us were the stokers on the back of the tandems, and then we each had our own pilot, and we just we rotated shifts and pieced our way across from Oceanside, California to Annapolis, Maryland, and we did it in just 7 days and 15 hours, and became the first. Whoa. The first team of all blind and visually impaired stokers to make it across the country. So it was and our goal was we wanted to do something really cool athletically, but we also wanted to draw awareness of a big problem in the job market, and that is that I want to say there's like 9 or 10 million Americans that are blind or visually impaired in the United States, and that number is expected to just skyrocket over the next 20, 30 years as our population gets older and older, and stuff like that. But of those, of all the people that are blind or visually impaired in the United States, 70% of those people are not employed. So we, so we were all, decently, Tina, Jack, and Dan, who are all extremely successful, business people. And then you had me, the young, whippersnapper, who's, clawing and scrapping his way, doing like freelance marketing work at the time. So we wanted to bring awareness to that, and just show people that, look, we can, as people that are blind or visually impaired, we can succeed both athletically and in the workplace, given the right systems, given the by putting the right team around us. And that's, with anybody, whether you're, blind, or you're fully sighted, or you're in a wheelchair, or you're missing an arm, or whatever. We're only as strong as the team we put around us, and and our willingness to work hard.
Yeah. Yeah. I have so many questions.
Well, I'm a dartboard. Hit me.
I love it. Why do you think it's so difficult to find employment when you're visually impaired? Do companies have to bring in other systems for you, as far as like computer software, or what does that look like?
I think, so the first part of your question, why is it so challenging? I think it's largely a fear of the unknown. I've seen studies and like questionnaires and stuff where like blindness is one of the most feared disabilities that like people don't like. I mean, it's up there. Like a lot of people are like, I'd rather be in a wheelchair than be blind, because they can't imagine living without sight. Me, I'm just like, I can't see, but there's still plenty I can do. But I think it's largely just a fear of the unknown, and not being aware of the capabilities. So for as far as the technology and stuff, technology has come such a long way. Between Apple coming, building in screen reading software into all of their products. So on every Apple product, so whether that be an iPhone, an iPad, a Mac, an Apple Watch, every Apple product actually has a built-in screen reading software that you can actually go and turn on yourself. You just go into your settings, go into accessibility, and you tap this little icon that says voiceover, and any blind person can then automatically start using an iPhone or a Mac. And it's just you can touch the screen, or use keystrokes on your computer to navigate, and a computer synthesized voice speaks out what you're doing, and there are certain key commands and stuff, and then there are programs that do the same thing with for Windows-based operating systems as well. So so I have both I've got both I've used both PC and Mac for many years, and I can switch seamlessly between the two just based on the technology that I'm using. And look, I mean, not everything is perfect. There are some websites and applications that might take a little bit longer to navigate, or sometimes people don't optimize their websites for someone using a screen reader. So like if you're so like one of the big things that that we run into is like, I hate when websites just like keep refreshing over like it's like 15 seconds and then it refreshes, and that's not great for a screen reader, because because like you could be on one end of the page and you're reading, you're letting your screen reader read an article or something, and then it refreshes, or some flash player or something pops up, and you're like, hey, I was let's not do that, come on. So there are certain things like that, but in overall, technology has been such a game changer. I mean, I have so many apps on my phone. Like, I mean, I have an app on my phone that I can take a picture of money, and it'll tell me if it's a $20 bill or a $1 bill, or if I'm ever lucky enough to find a Benjamin laying on the ground somewhere, they'll tell me that as well. And they're so, and I have an app on my phone that I can scan. I can take a picture of a computer printout, or I can take a picture of like an envelope, and it'll read to me, when I get my mail. I can take a picture of the envelope, and it'll read to me, like, who it's from, and I can open it, and I can take a picture of whatever it is that was sent to me, and a voice will they do it'll read it out. It'll read it out to me. So I mean, there's a lot of really cool stuff that's out there, and companies like Facebook and Instagram are starting to build in accessibility features into their platforms as well. So like there's some artificial AI technology that is trying to, when I'm scrolling through on Instagram or something, and a picture pops up, and it's still in its rudimentary stages, but it might say, like, man standing in a field, picture contains tree, sky, clouds.
No kidding.
So like it's in its infancy, but their technology is coming a long way. So yeah, it's I think it's just the awareness of that, technology is a game changer for the blind and visually impaired community, and I hope it continues to evolve. And honestly, I mean, this working remotely stuff helps out a lot as well, because we're able to now we don't have to also stress about public transportation taking a couple hours to get to your job.
Yep.
Whereas trying to bum a ride off a friend or a family member or something. So so there have definitely been positive aspects that you just gotta find sometimes.
For sure. Have you been able to find employment now that most people are working from home? Are you working from home right now?
Yeah, so I actually I have a couple of jobs in addition. In addition to being an athlete, I actually work. I've worked remotely actually for the past 3 years for a company called Bubba Burger. It's a frozen burger that you can get in your local grocery store. They're nationwide in places like Target, Walmart. You can get them in the freezer section. And then they are also my primary, they provide a lot of support for me to go, to race nationally and internationally, as I chase the Paralympics coming up later this year. And then I also I do some work for some other organizations, like the United States Association of Blind Athletes. Do some program coordinating for them, and then I also do a lot of inspirational or motivational speaking to organizations. Around, I focus on the topics of, leadership and teamwork, and how we, can improvise and adapt to overcome the challenges that we find in life. So I do a lot of speaking, whether that be virtually. I'm doing a lot more virtual speaking gigs these days. But in the past, I would travel to do those speaking engagements as well.
Tell us more about Bubba Burger. I've never heard of it. I'm curious. Is that like a sponsor for you as well?
It is. So Bubba is my primary sponsor.
Oh, cool.
And then I'm also on their marketing, their sales and marketing team.
Hey, perfect.
It works out. It works out really nicely. But yeah, no, it's a frozen burger that you just get in the grocery store freezer. You can go to Bubba Foods, BUBBAFOODS.com, and type in we've got you can punch in your zip code, and it'll tell you what grocery stores in your area carry Bubba. And then you go to grocery free, the freezer section, and we'll be there in the more often than not, we'll be there in the freezer section. And if we're not, you find someone at the grocery store and ask them why we're not in there. So, but no, we're all of our burgers are we have like 20 varieties of burgers now. Ranging from your standard original USDA choice chuck beef burger to certified Angus beef, to several varieties of veggie burger, to several varieties of turkey burger as well. So I mean, we've just in it. I believe we've been the #1 frozen burger in terms of sales. I want to say since 2003 or 2004. So it's been quite a it's been quite the journey for the company. And it's a great company in there. They've been extremely supportive of me, and I'm very, very grateful and very thankful to get to work for them, and to get to put their to put the Bubba logo on my kit when I stand on international podiums, which is a lot of fun.
Totally. Yeah.
That's cool.
I notice you're wearing the Bubba Burger shirt. And so I'm sitting here thinking to myself, like, how does he know he's wearing the Bubba Burger shirt? Like, how does he have his clothes arranged? And how does Kyle shop for clothes? Like, I know these are probably all like elementary questions, but forgive my naivety, but I've got to ask all the basic stuff that you've probably been asked way too many times.
No, I tell people all the time, look, the only dumb question is the question you don't ask. And if it is a dumb question, I'll be sure to tell you it's a dumb question.
Right on. I appreciate that.
Not a dumb question at all. So when I was younger, I used to just say, give this little quip about like, oh, my sisters just treat me like their male Barbie doll. But no, that's not really true. The truth is, usually I ask for clothes for birthday and Christmas. And my mom and sisters will
pick them out for you.
They pick them out for me, and they make sure that everything matches. I can mix and match stuff. So like, I wear a lot of, just basic solid colors, like, blues and, khakis, and, the occasional white button down shirt or something like that. But to be quite honest, I pretty much live in like t-shirts and Lululemon joggers or hiking pants. So, when you don't have to walk into an office every day, you can basically just live in your athletic wear.
Yep.
So, but no, so I usually just grab whatever's on top of the laundry pot, whatever's on top of the clean laundry.
For sure.
And throw that on, just as any self-respecting,
as any of us do, really. Oh, that's on the floor. That must be clean.
Exactly. It's like, oh, this one's hanging on the edge of the bed. That's probably just gently worn.
For sure.
You got to do the sniff test, right? You just got to sniff test it.
Oh, totally. That only smells like it's been worn twice. We're good.
We're good to go.
Hey, Kyle, tell us a little bit about your service dog.
Yeah, so I do have I have a guide dog. His name is Sky. He's a black lab, and he is actually my second guide dog. I got my first guide dog my summer between my junior and senior year of high school, and then I got Sky as my second guide dog. I got him just over 4 years ago. And I get my dogs from the Seeing Eye, which is based out of Morristown, New Jersey. And only dogs that come from the Seeing Eye can be called Seeing Eye dogs, because it is a registered trademark. So, just like, your classic Kleenex or Xerox or, Jacuzzi,
sure.
all of that stuff, that everyone has to trademark something at some point.
I grew up in the,
but no,
I grew up in the
go
town.
ahead.
Oh, I grew up in the town next to Morristown, New Jersey.
Oh, no way. Go figure.
Yeah.
Go
But
figure. I forgot about that. That you're from New Jersey.
Is Sky an athlete as well? I mean, does Sky work out with you and train?
Oh, no. I mean, he loves to he loves to go for walks and hikes and stuff, but he's definitely not a runner. The only running he likes to do is, running to chase his tail, running to play with the other family dogs, or running to bring a ball back to me, and then chasing after the ball. But no, he's
not an athlete.
not an athlete. Unless you count tail wagging as an athletic sport, then he is probably world champion. So
Was Sky trained not to be a running dog? Like, I have a golden retriever that's 1 year old, and I'm she goes running on the trails with me all the time, but I can hardly train her to do anything else because, now that I'm training her to be a running dog, she's so hyper and she wants to go running like all the time. And whenever I'm trying to train her to do anything else, I have a hard time with it. Was Sky specifically trained not to be a running dog?
Well, so as a guide dog, his job is to, when I put his harness on, he knows he's on duty, and his job is to guide me around obstacles in our path so that I don't, run into poles or walls, or, trip over curbs, or, go walking out into traffic or something like that. So his job is to, get me smoothly and efficiently around obstacles in our path. So, I have to know where we're going, and I give him, verbal and hand directions to indicate to him where I want to go. And then he picks the safest path through everything. So, I tell people, like, I had to know the big picture, and then I let Sky kind of solve the details. So he's the detail man. There are some organizations that are experimenting with running guide dogs. They've had, I've known a couple of people that have had success with them. But, for me, I'm perfectly happy, not having a running guide dog. It's stress. I think it's stressful enough on Sky or any other guide dog to get us, safely where we need to go without running at a 8-minute mile or whatever they can run. So.
One more naive question. So, I was just thinking about it earlier today, like an hour before we started this podcast, when I sent you the Zoom info. I thought maybe I should have sent it to him yesterday. So when you got that email, does your computer just read that to you then?
Yep. So I was actually, funnily enough, finishing up just an easy spin on my bike trainer. And just got an email alert on my phone, and when I got off the bike trainer, just opened up my email on my phone, and it was that email from Big Things Crewing, inviting you to a Zoom conference, and I was like, oh, that's coming up in just a little bit. So
cool.
Then came into the office, came into the home office, and just put my set my phone up on in its little stand, and tapped the link using just on my phone. So I've got VoiceOver activated on my iPhone, and I just tap on the link and joined the Zoom meeting, and waited for you to let me in and get rolling.
Good to go. Yeah. So the smartphone's really been a game changer for you, it sounds like.
It has. Like, I didn't actually get a smartphone until 2014. But one of the really cool things about the first iPhone was that VoiceOver came on the first iPhone. It just wasn't like people just weren't sure of its full capabilities. And actually it was, I think Apple partnered with Stevie Wonder to really promote the accessibility features of the iPhone. And I actually, I think I got my iPhone, so I was using like just a flip phone, like a Motorola flip phone until 2014. And I was literally just memorizing everybody's phone number.
Whoa.
And I was like dialing, I was old school dialing. And so, the smartphone opened up a whole new world for me. I could actually plug in contacts. I could text people. I could, get my email on my phone. Excuse me. Could, check my Facebook, my Twitter, and all that crazy stuff. And then, could jump into the Instagram game when that got going, and,
wow.
And everything. So yeah, it was a big game changer, for me. And I just self-taught myself, and, how to use it. And then, ran into other people that are, blind or visually impaired that were iPhone users. And then, the wonders of YouTube and Google. You can just, search it, you could search anything. And so, I was just looking up stuff on, how to use an iPhone as a blind person, and all that. So yeah, no, it's like I said, technology is a beautiful thing, and I absolutely love it. I was one of the early adopters of the Amazon Echo rage. And so, and then I got my whole family hooked on it. So, I don't know, we've got like 4 or 5 Echoes spread throughout the house and stuff now. So, haven't been able to convince everyone to basically turn the home into a smart home just yet, but slowly but surely.
So you're training for the Olympics, the Paralympics.
Yes.
What is there like a trial or a tryout for that, or are you already qualified, or how does that work?
So I'm not currently qualified. So we have our primary qualification event is actually coming up in mid-March, down in Sarasota, Florida. Okay. It's our Continental Championships. It's the Pan American Championships. So everyone from North and South and Central America that are paratriathletes will converge in Sarasota, and we'll race. So in my sport class, I race only against people that are blind or visually impaired. And the qualification system is a little, there's some, you have to accrue a certain number of points, and then you have to earn country slots. So right now the United States has only earned 1 country slot for blind and visually impaired men. But once a couple more of us get a few extra, just a couple more races, we'll earn a second spot in each country. You can have a maximum of 2 spots, and there are only 10 slots that they hand out for each sport class. So like there will only be 10 male visually impaired triathletes on the start line in Tokyo, and each country is allotted a maximum of 2 slots, and you have to earn those slots. And then your national governing body, so for us, USA Triathlon, will select the best athletes that they feel have the best opportunities to medal in at the games. And they do that based on certain races. So they're going to very heavily weight the Pan American Championships. So basically the people that finish 1, 2, have the inside track to go to the Paralympics. But to really cement it and to make sure that I absolutely am the one going, it's always best to take the top step on the podium. So it's always what we're always what we're shooting for.
It sounds like like a little more than 8 weeks away, maybe 9 weeks away. Like what is your training looking like these days? And I know you're home for the holidays, and we did a little run, but it was nowhere near Olympic standards, in my opinion.
No. So for paratriathlon, we specifically train and compete at sprint triathlon. So 750 meter swim, 20K bike, 5K run. And so I've just been doing, like, this is kind of my base training, time of year. And just around the holidays and stuff, I just kind of, just long endurance stuff, maybe some technique stuff if when I'm able to get into the water. But I'm actually heading back to the Olympic and Paralympic Training Center down in Colorado Springs in a couple of days. So to get back into the fold there, and then we'll start training in earnest starting next week. We'll have a couple of weeks of build up, and then we'll get down into the nitty gritty. But you really only need about, we've discovered that I need about 6 to 8 weeks of just dialed, focused training to get really ready for a sprint triathlon. With my background, having been in triathlon now for almost 6 years. I guess it has been 6 years now. Wow. I'm getting old. So like, I need to get to a place where I can, get on the treadmill, get the leg speed back. My coach has been giving me a lot of workouts that work on my higher end power on the bike. So the bike will be a nice, be able to jump right into race specific bike work when I get back to Colorado Springs. And then it's just been about, just staying in touch with the run a little bit. And then, just working on technique, form, and strength and stuff like that. And then, when I get back to the Springs, we'll dial in the swim, do some VO2 max stuff for the run, and be ready to roll. We'll probably train pretty hard up until about a week before the actual race, and then we'll do a little bit of a taper heading into the race. But yeah, it'll be goal will be to win in Sarasota. It'll probably take probably have to swim 750 meters in about 11 minutes, and just over 11 minutes. Probably have to bike the 20K in around 25, 26 minutes, and then run about a 18 to 19 minute 5K coming off the bike. So
wow.
Can I do it? Absolutely. My coach has a lot of faith in my abilities, and we're looking forward to seeing what we can do.
Is your guide or guides training for this as well? Because it seems like you have to have a guide that's really fast, really fit, and if they screw something up, that could blow your whole day. How does that work?
For sure. So unless there's an absolute emergency in race, you have to have one guide throughout the entire race. So yes, my guide, I have a network of guides, and I specifically have 2 guides that I have one primary race guide, and then I have a backup race guide, and they're both very elite level triathletes. One of them actually has been competing as a pro for almost 20 years. The other probably could be a pro if he wanted to. He just happens to be just ridiculously fast and just a really amazing, just a really amazing triathlete and athlete in general. So both of them are training. as if, that they do a lot of their own, training. And then when we are able to get together to train, we work on our communication. We work on how we communicate on the bike, how we communicate on the run. How much info does my guide need to give me when we're running at a, sub 6 minute pace? How much, information can they get away with not giving me when we're running at that pace? So basically, my rule of thumb is, the paces that we're swimming, biking, and running for a sprint triathlon, in general, those are the paces that my guide can hold for a half Ironman. So you're looking at a very, very narrow, very small pool of athletes that are able to do it. But it's really cool and really fascinating because the sport of blind and visually impaired triathlon is truly a team sport. Because in order, it's not about, go out and find the fastest, guide that can, swim, bike, and run really, really fast. It's go out and find the right guide that can swim, bike, and run fast, yes, but communicate effectively and clearly to me while we're doing all of those activities. Someone that can push and motivate me and help raise my game to the next level. It's really one of those sports where if one of you messes up, I mean, you fail each other. So it's like you succeed together, you fail together. I mean, it's a true team sport. I had one race where, my guide, he didn't see a buoy, and we were swimming, and our swim tether. So I have a swim tether that's basically a bungee cord that wraps around my upper left thigh and my guide's upper right thigh. And we were swimming, and the swim tether, the buoy came up right between us, and we got tangled on the buoy, and lost the podium because of that. And then in that same race, I was running really, really well at the time. My guide at the time was coming off of an injury, and he had a tough time keeping up. So that was a struggle. That was a struggle as well. And that was a learning experience for both of us. He acknowledged that he was like, look, maybe I can't, guide at these speeds anymore. And I was like, maybe it's time to move on and find someone that, I can have a really, really solid relationship with, and can go really fast with as well. So yeah, no, it's a team sport. And it's something that is just, it's, so much fun to, you have some of the highest of highs and some of the lowest of lows. My primary race guide for the last couple of years has been it's my buddy Zach Goodman. He's actually he's the guy that I mentioned that he could be a professional triathlete if he really wanted to, but he's being smart, and he's actually he's in the final months of his PhD, getting his PhD, and he's being recruited pretty heavily by some pretty impressive technology firms. He's a data scientist. So I'm like, yeah, you do the smart thing and go like, you go make the big money, and then you have fun being just a really fast, non-professional triathlete, but he's plenty fast. He's plenty fast and just a super great guy. And he and I have, we have, come out of the water. We've come out of the water, in second or third place, taking the lead on the bike, and we've been caught, with only like a couple hundred meters to go in the run and stuff like that. So we've had, those crazy heartbreaks. And then we've been able to, to run our way back from like, fifth or sixth place, coming off the bike to up onto the podium. So you have those extreme highs as well. And it takes, it takes work and encouragement from each of us to lift each other and to find the best out of each of us. So it's, like I said, it's a team sport, and it's a blast. I love it.
It sounds like a lot of pressure for that guide.
you could say that. You could definitely say that.
Hey, Kyle.
Go ahead, Brian.
Hey, Kyle. I think Adam has done Ironmans in the past. I believe so. If I'm not mistaken.
Yep. Yeah, I did one Ironman and a couple half Ironmans back in the day.
And I've done a couple Ironman myself. I got my start back in the sport as an adult in triathlon and in sprint distance triathlon, and then moved up to Ironman, and then moved on to long distance running. But I remember
you did it the right way.
but I remember my struggles as a triathlete, because it's been a decade since I've done a triathlon. But I remember my struggles, and I was better at one sport than another, and I unlike you, I was self-coached. So the discipline to work on that weaker sport never came through because it was just on me. But so could you tell us about your strengths and weaknesses in the three sports and the three disciplines?
Sure. So, I mean, I think I mentioned earlier that, like, I mean, I grew up in Florida. So like I said, I knew how not to drown, but I had never been given formal swimming lessons or anything like that. So swimming was definitely a major weakness of mine coming into the sport. And I had grown up doing a lot of cycling, but, not really a ton of, high intensity riding or anything like that. And then, the only running I had ever done was, just running around with my friends. I would definitely say that, if I had to pick one of the three as my biggest strength, I would say that I have to do the least amount of work on my cycling and the most amount of work on my swimming. So swimming is just such a technical sport, where it's like the harder you try, the slower you go. So it's, I compare swimming a lot to golf, whereas you try to, swing your golf club as hard as you can, you're going to miss a lot more often than not. So it's a very technical, feel oriented sport. So for the past couple of years, my coach has really been working on just, honing in on my swim technique, and then running. It's one of those things where, just been progressing, slowly but steadily, working on, run form and, getting into the gym to build strength and stability and stuff like that. So I used to have a t-shirt that, I got it because it was so applicable to me. And it says triathlon. Why suck at one sport when you can suck at three? So I mean, and that's really, because I get that question a lot. That, it's like, what is your favorite sport? What is your least favorite sport? What's your strongest? What's your weakest? And like I guess I'm just one of the I'm one of those people where I'm not really that great at any one sport. Like, I'm an average to below average swimmer. Like, you're one of your slowest person on a high school swim team can backstroke, in a warm up faster than I can freestyle in a race in a wetsuit. Your junior, 16-year-old, mountain biker has a higher lactate threshold or power threshold on the bike than I do. And then your average, high school cross country runner, that makes it to that makes it to a state championship or something like that, can probably run backwards with their eyes closed faster than I can run forward in a race. So, but when it comes to triathlon, it's not about how fast can you swim, bike, or run. It's how fast can you swim, bike, run. And for some reason, I love that puzzle of trying to figure out, okay, maybe I'm not the fastest swimmer, but how fast can I get? How fast and efficient can I get to where I'm coming out of the water in a good position, and then get on the bike. Where it is, I would say the bike is probably my strongest of the three, as I said, and can I get to as close to the front of the race as I possibly can on the bike, and then it's a matter of developing that closing leg on the run. And it's like, I don't have to run the fastest 5K. I just have to run as fast a 5K as I can possibly do, so that I finish with as many people behind me as I possibly can. Because on the when you're racing for podium spots and for a chance to go to the Paralympics, I mean, the name of the game is while I love the journey, and I love the process of training and the race experience and all that. And at the end of the day, I'm judged by USA Triathlon by the number of medals I bring home at the end of the day. So it's so you're always you're gotta remain on that razor's edge when you can, and learn to put those disciplines together.
Sure.
I'm just picturing, like, when I was learning how to swim, and I was like watching YouTube videos and same thing as Brian, sort of self-taught and trying to teach myself. And, there's intricacies with, how your hands are going into the water. And, I was watching someone else do it the correct way, and then I was trying to bring it to the pool. How do you teach yourself, or how does a coach teach you? Are they physically like taking your hand and saying it has to be more of this way, or what does that look like?
Yep. So that's a lot of what we've done in the past. Like we'll do some dry land stuff where, I'm either like laying face down on a bench and my coach will put my arm in the correct position, or we'll have some stretch cords with some paddles attached to the stretch cords. And I'll, be bent over at the waist, and my coach is showing me, how not to have a hand or an elbow or a shoulder or something, and then show me the correct way to do it. And then we've also done stuff where I had a one of my swim coaches in the past actually went to an art store and bought an art model. So one of these little wooden figurine dudes that you can twist and position in different ways, and he put them into the most ideal swimming position, and he was like, "This is where we want to get you." And then he would manipulate the arms and the head and the torso and stuff. And he said, "And this is where you are." So he's like, "We want to take you from here to here."
Okay.
And so that gave me a good visual. And then I've also, in the past, we've experimented with like an underwater headset, where like my coach can have a microphone, and I'm wearing like a Bluetooth underwater headset, and he can talk to me directly. Cool. And give me cues. We haven't, those things are expensive, so we only got to like play with those for a couple of days before we had to give them back to their owner. But sure. But we've done stuff like that as well. But a lot of it is I myself also just I watched a lot of YouTube videos and listened to explanations from swim coaches. And I just do my best to visualize and picture how it's supposed to be. And, I have certain, mantras, like when I'm swimming, to remind myself, to focus on certain things, like, as long as my, fingertips are pointing down toward the bottom of the pool or the lake or the river or the ocean or whatever body of water I'm swimming in. And then as long as my fingertips are lower than my wrist is lower than my elbow, try to get that, 90 to 120 degree bend in the elbow, keep that elbow high, pull straight back. Remember that, 80% of your force is generated at the top end of the stroke. So there's, like I said before, there's so many nuances to swimming. So, it's taken a very, very long time to get to where I am now. One of the most basic things, one of the first things that my buddy Mike taught me to do when he was, getting in the pool and teaching me how to swim, was just, he was like, dude, you just need to learn to float. And that's a starting point. So, you just start at the beginning, and then you just, you follow the trajectory, and you put in the time and the focused effort. Everyone's got a starting point, and some of us are a lot slower than others, but, you work at it and you dedicate the time and the effort to it, and you'll find where you can go.
For sure. Yeah. I'm also curious, like, what's the main communication between you and your guide? Like, what does he tell you the most, or what's the talk like back and forth?
So like when we're racing, it's primarily, direction based. So like, obviously in the swim, we can't communicate verbally. Mm-hmm. So what my guide does is he communicates. So we'll look at we usually get a chance to preview the swim course a couple days beforehand. So we'll go out and we'll swim the course 2 or 3 times, and he'll draw a map of the course on the palm of my hand to kind of let me know, like, okay, we're going to swim 200 meters and then, take a right-hand turn, swim another 50 meters, take a left-hand turn, or something like that. Okay. And then when we're actually swimming in the race, he'll double tap my left shoulder for a left turn and double tap my right shoulder for a right-hand turn. So that I know when to turn and how sharply to turn and stuff like that. And then on the bike, it's a lot of reading off split time. So a lot of our bike courses are lapped courses. So we'll do 3 or 4 laps of the same route. So he'll yell at me to, he either needs more power from me, or to smooth out my pedal stroke, or to bring to try and bring the cadence up. So the bike is actually probably where we communicate the second most, and then the run is the run, he's giving me constant directions. My guide is constantly giving me directions, left turn, right turn, step up, step down, step towards me, coming up to an aid station, you need a splash of water, nod your head for yes, or shake your head for no, stuff like that. And then he'll also, like if we're coming up on a competitor and we're about to pass them, he'll tell me, he'll give me gap times to, the people up ahead of me, or the people that are, chasing from behind. He'll be like, all right, you got, we're 5 seconds down from, 5 seconds down from Antoine, or, Aaron's 20 seconds back, or something like that. So the run is where we, he's constantly communicating, and if he can get in a motivational word edgewise, or remind me about my my run form or my technique, like keep your chin down, hands high, relax your shoulders, try to get a little bit more lean, kick out behind you, stuff like that. So I mean, there's constant coaching going on as well to try and maximize how fast I can go. And then as far as when we're doing a sprint triathlon, I mean, I'm just going flat out as hard as I can. So about the only things I can do are like nod, shake my head, maybe.
Yeah. Give a little grunt.
Maybe give a grunt or drop an F-bomb or two.
Right.
maybe scream if I'm really hurting.
Yeah.
But no, there's not a whole lot. It's a lot of one way talk coming from him to me.
Of course, we had an easy training run the other day, Kyle, but I had none of those cues at him, just to give you a heads up. We were chit-chatting about nothing and everything, but every now and then I'm like, "Well, there's some ice,"
Yeah, no. I mean, Brian did a great job on our little run, and that was that's just an easy training run. Just kind of get out, log some miles, log some hours, and just stay in touch with the run form, and we chose a nice flat, easy, no obstacle laden route to run. So I mean, I've done a bit of trail running and stuff in the past, and that's exhausting for my guide. So I usually will have a couple of guides for anything. I've actually only done one official trail race, and that was the Power of Two here in the Roaring Fork Valley. And my sister actually guided me for that, and it was just a 25K with Brian, what's the Power of Two, like 3,500 feet of gain or something like that?
It's a lot. It's two of the four Aspen Mountains, so it's quite a bit of gain.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So, but she was like, "Oh man, that was the it took us just under 4 hours to do." And she was like, "Man, I feel like I just ran a marathon, not a 25K." So I mean, so trail running and guiding is a lot more exhausting, because there's a lot more obstacles, a lot more communicating that the guide has to do back to the blind athlete and stuff like that. So eventually when I start to dabble in like the ultras and stuff like that, because it's just a matter of time, I will actually there's not really a whole lot of rules when it comes to blind ultra running. So that the few blind ultra runners that I know, they usually always use at least 3 or 4 guides for trail runs and races and stuff like that. So it's
cool.
But yeah, no, it's quite the adventure.
Did you have a lot more accidents while running on the trail, like wipeouts, tripping over rocks, stuff like that?
Oh, all the time. But if you're not falling in if you're not falling in trail running, are you really trail running?
Oh, totally. I mean, I'm falling all the time. I can only imagine.
Exactly. Wow. Yeah, no, we were, one of my guides and I, we were training for the Boston Marathon, and we did a little run up here on one of our local mountains, Basalt Mountain, and we ran up the road, and then we're like, oh, let's go explore this single track trail over here off to the left, and we're just like running down it, and hit some slick patches of dirt, and I my feet skidded out from under me, and I went headfirst down the trail, and my guide was running in front of me, so I took him out at the knees, and he fell backwards on top of me, and I'm sliding down the trail. I mean, we got there's stuff that happens like that all the time, and it's just you just get up and dust yourself off and just keep on plugging away.
It's all part of the fun. That's true. Right there.
Absolutely.
When you started this journey into triathlon, did you make a lot of mistakes? I mean, I'm guessing you were just kind of sort of teaching yourself as you went along. Like, what did that look like in the beginning compared to now?
Oh my gosh. So like, I mean, it's night and day difference.
Yeah.
So like Mike and, Mike was the guy that got me into triathlon, and, and we Googled and YouTubed, and there wasn't a whole lot of stuff out there on blind triathlon. There were some, I mean, it had been done before. A lot of people had, a lot of blind people have done Ironmans and triathlons and stuff, but, there wasn't a whole lot of great explanation or best practices or anything like that. So we just kind of made it up as we went along. We originally, probably the two biggest evolutions were in the way we swam open water, and then the way we ran. So like, when we initially started running together, we were like holding on to like a piece of string. And, neither of us liked that. So then we were like, well, what if we like rubber band our wrists together? Well, that was a disaster. And then we eventually moved to wearing this tether that wraps around each of our waists. And then there's about an 18-inch strip of webbing or cord that runs between us. So it gives us both just enough room, to get, arm swing, as well as, the running guide can give a little tug, to have me, step toward him, or, can kind of bump me with his shoulder to make me move over to the left or something like that. And then but the swim was really, night and day different from when we, first tried swimming open water to now what I do in open water swimming. So like, cause, I have to use a swim tether, cause, you can't just point me. I mean, you could just point me in one direction and have me swim, but I would probably wind up swimming in circles, or I'd be shark bait or gator bait or something like that. So like we were trying to figure out all kinds of things. So we tried a waist tether like we did in running. But we found our hands got all tangled up in the tether that was around our waist. We tried doing an ankle tether, but then I was like, but then we were getting jerked around by each other's ankles. And then like we tried doing we tried doing like this long cord tether at the wrist, and we tried like almost synchronized swimming together. And I think we made it about like 10 meters and nearly drowned each other with that. And then we eventually figured out like, oh wait, like the upper thigh is like, it's just out of the way of, that's, your hand exits at the hip. So it's like, well, the upper thigh is right below the hip. And if we have a nice tight bungee cord that wraps around there, the bungee cord is enough tension and enough slack that, we're not going to be, you can give a little bit of direction by like a tug or something. So so it's just, it was a lot of experimentation and, trial and error, and, just making it up as we went along. And eventually now that, now we're, I'm at the point where it's like, all right, these are my systems that work. And, I love, it's, these are the systems that work for me, and I can teach them to, to any new guide that comes into the rotation, and, they pick it up pretty quick.
Surprisingly, Adam, Kyle and I ran, and I was a little nervous about it. And it was icy on a bike path here in the valley.
Yeah.
And so I was a little nervous about it, but the bike path seemed to be our safe bet, at least for my first go at it. And quickly I forgot about it. We just started chit-chatting about the holidays and what he was up to, what I was up to, and bumping shoulders and, push, just gently shoving him where I needed him to go, or kind of giving him the cue that in 10 feet there was a patch of ice coming up. It actually became pretty natural. I was surprised myself, quite honestly.
Cool.
Yeah, all it is all it is you're just out. I just tell people, look, we're just out for a run, just like you would run with any of your other buddies. But just imagine you're the point man. You gotta let people know what's coming up. So that's all it is. So cool. It's you just and and as and the more I run with with someone, the better we get at communicating, the better we get at reading each other's body positions and stuff like that. We get used to each other's stride lengths and run cadences and arm swing, and eventually you fall into just this natural rhythm. And Brian and I, we locked in pretty quick. But imagine if if we did that twice a week for 6 months. By the end of month 6, it's a whole lot different. We're running at that same conversational pace. We're running at that same conversation level, but at a 6:55 mile instead of an 8:45 miler or whatever we were doing that day. So it's a process.
And then 6 months there would be no ice, so that'd even be better.
Oh, that too. Yeah. Well, we also decided to go for a run on the coldest day of the year. It was I think it was 8 degrees when we started, and I think the high that day was 15 or something like that. So it was a bit chilly.
Yeah, I imagine when you run with the same guide for months and months at a time, after a while, it almost becomes like you just know each other so well. There's almost like a telekinesis going on, like each other's thoughts, exactly what each other normally does. It probably just becomes almost routine.
It does, and that's something that my buddy Zach and I, who's been guiding me for racing for the last couple of years. We've gotten to something that comes pretty close to that, where he knows my rhythms and my cadences and all that, and I know what kind of stuff, what kind of directions that he gives. What kind of cues he gives for when we're coming up to obstacles or something like that. And then I do a lot of running with my coach as well, and he has a slightly different way of guiding than Zach does. But running with him a whole lot and running with various people helps me to adapt quickly to various guides and styles of running as well.
Yeah. Cool, man. Sounds like you've got it dialed. I like it.
I do a good job faking it.
That works. Kyle,
I just haven't gotten caught. Yet.
What would you say to someone, blind or not, that's thinking about getting into endurance sports? What would your advice be to them?
My advice would be don't be afraid of it. The only way you're if you're thinking about it, then you gotta just commit to doing it. And it starts with one step and committing to it. Whether you want to get into swimming, cycling, running, trail running, hiking as an endurance sport, or just walking, just get out and do it.
Totally.
Because you'll just be so glad and so thankful that you did. Just it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter that if you're whether you power hike at a 33-minute mile or you're a 4-minute miler, you're out there, you're doing it, and you're going to fall in love with this crazy world of endurance sport.
Yep 100%. And ultras are next for you, it sounds like, huh? It sounds like you're already looking at them. Yeah, yeah. I mean,
no, we've been eyeing a few. We've been eyeing a few over the years. I got to get through. My coach made me promise I at least had to commit to sprint triathlon through 2024. But after that, we might dip the toe back into the Ironman scene. My fastest Ironman is just under 11 hours. So would like to lower that time a little bit. Maybe dip my toe back into the road marathon scene, try to break a 3-hour marathon or something crazy like that. And then, but yeah, no, ultras definitely on the horizon, specifically mountain ultras. I don't want to do something, like 100 miles flat. I want some elevation. I want some single track. I want some dirt road. I want some slick rock or something,
the good stuff.
I want the good stuff. I want the good stuff.
Totally.
Unfortunately, it's not the good stuff for my guides. They got a lot of work to do. but no. Anything that's a challenge, and when we get to that that level, that's putting just a rock star crew together of people that that know me, that know how to handle me, that are badass athletes in and of themselves, and and are able, and that's a team event. When it comes to guiding a blind crazy man who wants to do an ultra.
It sounds like fun. Sounds like a good time. Sounds like just it sounds like that's what ultra marathons are, just a crazy weekend in the woods anyways. So, people falling down, it sounds like a blast. That's what we sign up for these things for.
Yeah, no, exactly. I mean, when it, for me, when it comes to doing trail running and all that, I don't care how fast I go. It's just to me, the trail running and the mountain running community, that's just an excuse to get out and party and play in the mountains.
Yeah,
that's all it is.
Yeah, totally.
and just have fun with a few of your crazy friends from across the country that come to do this silly stuff.
Yep. And you're not slowing down anytime soon. I mean, you're doing triathlons for another 3-4 years, and you're even looking beyond that. That's pretty impressive.
Yeah, well, I mean, I'm in, what am I, 29? I'm 29 now, so it's like, I think I've still got a couple good speedy years left.
Definitely.
And then I just look, I mean, I love, I've been an outdoor geek since I was 10, 11 years old, and I first started hiking and rock climbing and skiing and doing all that stuff. So yeah, I mean, eventually I definitely want to get into get more into the just immerse myself in the outdoor sport culture as much as possible, whether that be off-road triathlon or mountain running or just doing big, cool, crazy things.
Do big things.
Absolutely.
Are you able to sort of give back and help teach other visually impaired people like some of your strategies and what you're doing out there?
Yeah, I do what I can. So I'm a part of several Facebook groups, and when there are new blind athletes or triathletes that are come into those groups, and they post a lot of questions, I do my best to respond. I actually I'm part of the USA Triathlon mentorship program, so I actually mentor one of our junior visually impaired paratriathletes, and so we have phone calls every couple of weeks. We shoot text messages back and forth. He asks me a lot of stuff about training, finding guides, recovery, strength training, I mean, what have you. I mean, finding sponsors, and how the heck do you pay for this expensive sport? All that stuff. So I mean, we talk a lot about that kind of stuff. And then I've also I've talked at talent identification camps and and stuff like that. And but yeah, no, I'm always available, to help out the next generation of triathletes, whether they be younger or older than me. If you're a newbie triathlete, or you're just starting your adventure journey. Yeah, no, I'm always open to people. I'm telling people all the time, hey, look, just shoot me an email, shoot me a direct message on Instagram or Facebook, and I as you guys can tell, I love getting on and geeking out about anything that involves fitness, adventure, mountains, anything. I love it. I mean, I could go on and on about it for forever.
Totally. Yeah. Same here. Yep. Do you have a website or anything that people can find you, or is it mainly social media?
So my website is kylecoon.com. So pretty simple, KYLECOON.com. But definitely, if you guys don't mind giving me a follow on social media, I'm on Instagram at Iron Kyle. That's EYERONKYLE. And then I'm on Facebook at Kyle Coon Speaks.
Cool. And you're looking at mid-March. That's your next big date, huh?
Yep. So mid-March should be the first race of the season, and possibly one of the most important races of the season.
No pressure.
But then after, yeah, no pressure whatsoever. But no, it should be a blast. And then hopefully, get over to Europe in May, do some racing over there. Maybe pop over to Japan to do a race or two. So May and June will be busy months, and then USA Triathlon will hopefully make their final decisions on the people that'll be going to Tokyo the last week of June, first week of July, and we'll know for sure then, and then it'll be over to the plan will be to head over to Japan. The last I heard was probably the first week of August, and stage out of Okinawa for 2-3 weeks, and then bounce over to Tokyo. And we're one of the first events on the Paralympic calendar, so we'll be able to race hard in the first couple of days, and then enjoy the rest of the games. So that's the plan.
Cool. Sounds so cool. Brian, anything else?
Hey, Kyle, it's just amazing what you've accomplished in 29 years.
Big time.
Cited or not cited. I mean, like, those are hopes and dreams of anyone and aspirations. And just want to wish you the best of luck and let you know that I'll be keeping in close tabs and rooting for you the whole time.
Well, thanks, man. I appreciate it. And hey, look, I'm nothing. Look, I'm nothing special. I'm just some crazy blind dude that that can't sit still. And look, we've all got a little crazy in us, and we all like to pursue it a little differently. And I'm just one of those crazies that I decided to pursue endurance and adventure sport. And I hope a lot of other people follow and jump on the bandwagon with me.
Definitely. Well, listen, man, you're a badass, and I love talking to badasses, and I love just rubbing elbows with them and gaining inspiration from anybody and everybody. So really appreciate you coming on, man. This has been fantastic. And yeah, we'll be keeping an eye on you, man. Good luck.
Thank you so much. Really appreciate you guys having me on.
Absolutely. Yeah. Thank you to both you guys. I really appreciate both of you.
Thanks, Adam.
Yeah, you bet. Have a good night, guys.
Take care.
All right.
You too.
Thanks.